Masked Hero.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the release day of SYNTHEZOID SMACKDOWN, at least here in North America. Real quick, what this video is going to be is I'm not going to go through the actual She-Hulk and Vision leader cards. I don't know if I'll do that at a later date. I'm going to look more at the encounter cards, kind of like I did before, talking just about the Civil War stuff about a month or two ago. So I'm very excited to talk about this, just kind of get into the 8 encounter sets that we'll see in this. This is a blind reaction, unlike the Civil War one where I at least had time to process all of them and go, okay, here are the themes I'm seeing. This is going to be off the dome. I don't even know if there were many previews for this. I think it was just what we saw in the original article back in, was that August? I don't even remember now. But let's get into it. Let's open this up, and yeah, we will be right back. All right, so for She-Hulk, for the registration side, the first encounter set we'll talk about is going to be Shield Ops. 2 copies of Shield Operator, a minion with 2 scheme, 2 attack, 3 hit points, has the Shield trait and Patrol. When revealed, place 2 threat on the main scheme. This will go into what I would do for Tony Stark, Head of Shield kind of deck. I liked that. I had a gameplay video of that, just trying to give Tony as many of the Shield stuff as possible. But okay, so let me think about this through. I like Patrol. I like the fact that when it comes into play, it adds 2 threat. I guess this could have been Insight 2, but I like that this is tailored back. It's going to be a fixed amount. This is something that I would definitely want to keep in mind when you go up against a deck and you know that Shield Ops is in there. Maybe you get one of the other cards we're going to talk about, but just once you know this is a known quantity, you need to at least keep it in mind. There's 2 of them, so that can be a huge swing in threat. And yeah, I think if we're just talking about this from the perspective of trying to be as nasty as possible, this is definitely a encounter card that's going to hit you, and it's probably going to hit you hard. The copy of Strategic Overwatch. When revealed, give the enemy leader and each minion a tough status card with the boost ability of give the activating enemy a tough status card. Also, I love, actually, both of these have the, what's his name? Dexter, is that right? The McNiven. Is it Dexter McNiven? I don't know. The McNiven are either way. You know what I like about this? I like that it sets you back, it changes the tempo of the game, but it's not an attack. And I think there's some value to that, where something's going to happen, it's going to change everything, but it's not necessarily going to defeat you, it's just going to make it harder for you to win, and I like that. I like that we've got one use of that in here. I think giving tough status cards, other than I know, well, I suppose Captain America is not going to be on the registration side anyway, but I think just in general, giving a bunch of tough status cards. Yes, you have piercing, but not everybody has access to piercing, so I think this is a good switch up of what we should come to expect from just a treachery card, and I think it's cool. Got a copy of Rapid Response, which we saw in the original Civil War box, but it is a treachery with when revealed, discard a card from the encounter deck until a minion is discarded. If you are in alter ego form, place threat on the main scheme equal to that minion's scheming. If you're in hero form, deal damage to your hero equal to that minion's attack. I believe I did talk about this as an honorable mention in a recent top 10 list. So, spoilers for that, it did not make the top 10, but it was a honorable mention. I think this is a cool effect. Having played with it, yes, you have minions that have 0 scheme, so this might not do anything, but you don't have, I don't believe there are any minions that have 0 attack, and maybe I'm forgetting something. Even in the intervening time, I did not look into that. But yeah, this is just a cool effect. I like, one, that it uses the name of an established card, but also just that it comes down and it has a varying effect. It cares about what form you're in, so you do have some control over it, and it's hopefully not going to be too detrimental. When you have it in the encounter deck, hey, I need to be at least aware of the fact that this is there. So if you're going down to alter ego, just having the right amount of threat on the main scheme so that at least one activation of this is not going to undo you. That's easier said than done, but still, I think it's a great card. And then the side scheme for this is Homeland Security. Comes down with 3 threat, has Hinder 1 per player. The first minion revealed each turn gains Surge, and it has the acceleration icon. First minion revealed this way has surged. Okay, so that does change the context here a little bit when we're talking about the fact that there's 2 copies of Shield Operator. So it's entirely possible that you might get, in solo, you could still get both of them. That's a pretty big swing. I appreciate that this does not have the crisis icon, which means you will be able to just sort of work your way through this. It is accelerating, but it's not. You don't have to deal with this right away, although you probably will want to, because this is going to come down with 4 threat, and not every hero can just take that out right away, so it's definitely something to consider. Moving on to the next encounter set, we have the Thunderbolts, starting out with Atlas, who we have seen as a elite minion before, but this is a non-elite minion, so it has 1 scheme, 2 attack, 4 hit points, giant and thunderbolt traded. When revealed, stun your leader, otherwise you are stunned. And of course, if you're playing in cooperative mode, this is just going to be you are stunned. I suppose if you're playing in competitive mode, if the leader is stunned, then I suppose this trickles down. But then the boost ability of stun your leader, otherwise you are stunned. Yeah, I think this is actually a cool effect. It doesn't necessarily feel like it's exactly the same character as the one we saw in his elite encounter set, but I can definitely see kind of where it's at. It's not as, I don't think it's as punishing, but I think that it's going to come down, it's going to have an effect on the game. And, even if it's just a speed bump, I think, like I said, with the strategic Overwatch, where it's giving out a tough status card, I think just giving out a stun, it's a small enough effect, but it's changing the pace of the game. And yeah, I think any kind of unpredictability is going to be beneficial for the game. Ooh, Songbird. Okay, I like Songbird. She is a 2 scheme, 1 attack, 3 hit point minion with Aerial and Thunderbolt. When revealed, your leader is confused. Otherwise, you are confused. Boost ability, confuse your leader. Otherwise, you are confused. It's basically the same thing I said about Atlas. I love this art now that I take a second to look at it. It's pretty sweet. Same thing I said about Atlas. I can see the parallels between this and her minion. Doesn't feel exactly the same, but I think that if you're just working within the confines of I'm guessing, yeah, okay. So yeah, this set is kind of playing off that. Okay, so yeah, just the 1 revealed abilities. I think if you're going to build an encounter set just around 1 revealed abilities, something simple like this, confuse, stun, we'll get into the next one in just a second. I've already kind of cheated myself and know what that's going to do. Generic effect, cool, and again, I could say this about everything, but just something to keep in mind is that this is going to exist. I like confuses more than stuns because they don't stop you from necessarily winning, but they can definitely hinder you and cause you to lose, which I think is a pretty interesting effect. You can also just ignore them because you're just like, oh, I'm confused, but all I'm going to do is attack. And then we have Pestilence. Pestilence. We have Penance. I can read. A 2 scheme, 2 attack, 4 hit point minion with the Thunderbolt trait. When revealed, deal 2 damage to your leader, otherwise deal 2 damage to a character you control. Boost, deal 2 damage to the leader, otherwise deal 1 damage to a character you control. So yeah, this is actually very fitting. Penance is definitely a character that's all about the pain. This version is definitely the Speedball version. I don't know if Penance is always Speedball on the inside, but if I remember correctly, especially from this era, I believe that his armor is very much like Iron. Is it the Iron Maiden? The kind of like sarcophagus thing from the olden days that on the inside had like the spikes. I think that's what it's called. But either way, his armor, I believe, has little thorns on the inside or what have you, spikes on the inside. And I believe he has spikes for each one of the kids that died in the accident that caused the Civil War. His team, he was part of like a reality show version of the New Warriors. The New Warriors in that era had like essentially they were like road rules kind of thing. They were superhero reality stars, and they came across a safe house of Marvel villains, and their fight escalated to the point that it eventually spilled over into a schoolyard, and then some stuff happened, and Speedball, kind of to pay for penance for what happened, had Iron Maiden armor. I hope I'm getting that term right. But yeah, just that has nothing to do with this card, but it definitely makes sense that he's dealing a bunch of damage because he is a character that deals with damage. Then we've got Justice Like Lightning. I feel like I should have named a Thor deck this. But he's a treachery. One reveal. Each minion activates against the player it is engaged with. Otherwise, the enemy leader activates against you. Do not give a boost card for this activation. I like this effect. I like the fact that it can just be as small as the minions. And if there are no minions, then the leader and or villain is the one activating. And yeah, I think this plays pretty fair. We're all guilty. This is justice. Yeah, okay. But yeah, I don't know that we've seen a card that does precisely this, but I definitely, I like this effect. This is cool, and I think it all plays pretty fair. And then the last card in this encounter set is the Thunderbolts side scheme. It has Hinder 1, so it comes into play with a minimum of 4. Threat cannot be removed from this scheme while a Thunderbolt minion is in play, and it has the Crisis icon. I think this would be an interesting side scheme to include. Oh, but of course that doesn't really work. I was going to say, you include this in the Thunderbolts scenario. Oh, but that doesn't work either. Is it? Oh, no. Okay, wait. Oh, wait. I've got the thing right here. Okay, so with the way that the Thunderbolts scenario is set up, this doesn't matter. But this has the same name as that. The way that the Thunderbolts scenario from the Shield box works, you technically can't include this. I suppose if you wanted to house rule it, it's not the biggest deal. But I think this would be interesting to have, like, basically, this is in play, it's boosting stuff up. Maybe house rule it so that you can play with this, and it just comes into play, and as long as you have one of the Thunderbolt minions in play, which I suppose the environment removes them from play. This is all house rule stuff. I don't think it needs to actually work for the scenario, but that would be interesting. You basically say, hey, as long as these big Thunderbolt minions are in play, you can't remove threat from this, so this is just going to keep giving you extra encounter cards. Outside of that context, I think just with the context of you have, I suppose, actually the other encounter sets have Thunderbolts too. So okay, so this has a little bit more breadth to it, but either way, I think this is a cool side scheme, and yeah, I would definitely want to try it out. I think now we definitely have the grounds for a really interesting registration Thunderbolts deck, especially now that I've looked and I see that we have Thunderbolts all over this product. Next up, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Taskmaster. So this was a card that I was aware of, and actually now that I look at it, it's even funnier. So Taskmaster is a minion with 1 scheme, 1 attack, 6 hit points. He has the Elite and Thunderbolt trait, which technically means I think he can be used in the Thunderbolt scenario because he does have Elite, and he does have the right size for his encounter set, so it's actually fairly benign. That's funny because you can basically make the game a little bit easier. But he has Retaliate, Toughness, and Villainous, and when revealed, Taskmaster activates against you. I like that. I like the fact that he just comes down and he has essentially like Quick Strike or Plotting or whatever you want to call Quick Scheming. That is a line of text that is going to make people very thrown off. But I think Taskmaster is definitely, we've already seen him as a villain. I think that he is completely capable of being a rather difficult minion to deal with, but I like the fact that he only has 6 hit points, so you do some piercing, you get the 6 damage through whatever, or what have you. He does not have victory, so that sort of works a little bit differently than for the Thunderbolt scenario, but I say try it out because he technically fits the criteria. We got Taskmaster's Sword, which is an attachment that gives +1 attack attached to Taskmaster, otherwise attached to the enemy leader. Attached characters' attacks gain piercing, and as a hero action, you can spend genius and physical resources to discard this card. So I think that plays pretty fair. I like just any kind of attachments. I guess it has the weapon trait, so additionally, I think that works for Crossbones. I could be misremembering that, but I feel like he has things that care about just having the weapon trait, period. That's pretty cool. Then we have Taskmaster's Shield, which is a attachment again, gives +1 scheming, and it has the armor trait attached to Taskmaster, otherwise attached to the enemy leader. Force interrupt when attached character would take any amount of damage, reduce that damage by 1, and then again as a hero action you can spend genius and physical to discard this card. I like that. I like that it's making his scheming a little bit better. Don't necessarily understand the game mechanics there about why it would make him scheme better, but still at the same time, BFD, don't really care. I like the fact that it's reducing the damage by 1, I think in a different world this would reduce the damage to 1, but I think just reducing the damage by 1 makes it so that you can't be just making the small attacks. You have to like actually throw 2 or more damage at him to do whatever. I also like the idea that the sword and the shield can just end up on the villain. You know, obviously talking about this from a cooperative standpoint, but just adding it to the villain, that's kind of cool. In a different world, because I suppose, again, competitive version of this where technically the registration versus the resistance leaders kind of work differently, but I think that in a world where you want to give this set to Captain America so that Captain America can have Taskmaster's shield, I think do that, have fun, do whatever makes you feel fun, as long as all the parties involved understand what's going on. Then we have Mimicked Move, at least in terms of name, maybe the most thematic card for Taskmaster we've had in a while. It is a treachery. When revealed, the Taskmaster is in play, he attacks your leader. Otherwise, give the enemy leader a tough status card and a face down boost card. And then the boost ability of give the activating enemy an additional boost card. That's pretty cool, especially because he has Villainous, so he's going to be getting the boost card, so he could very well be getting this, so he gets the 1 additional ping plus another boost card. Yeah, overall, I think very cool. I don't know that... I feel like there are cards from the Taskmaster encounter set, the scenario, that have a little bit more thematics. That name kind of makes me want to see something more akin to what we saw there, but at the same time, it's just 1 card in an encounter set, so I'm not going to, harp on it too much. Just cool name, cool effect, and we've probably seen things like this before, but yeah, just overall, like it. And then the last card is Taskmaster's Academy, which just seems like a card name that will definitely be used up by Critical Encounters podcast, but it's a side scheme. Again, like everything else, has Hinder 1, so it's going to come in with a minimum of 4, and has the Amplify icon, and when defeated, give the enemy leader a tough status card and a face down boost card. Woof. Oh my gosh. That's... Okay, I mean, you want to get rid of this because it's just going to make life more difficult at the cost of basically making the villain or the enemy leader, trying to use this in the context, it's going to be a little more difficult to handle, but yeah, overall, I like it. I like that it has a risk reward. If you don't care about it, you go on with your life, you don't worry about it, but if it's becoming a problem, you have to address it, and then you're going to be also having to address this additional boost card that the leader or the villain is going to have. Yeah, I think it's a good balance. I think it is a good trade-off, and I like it. And it has a great name. And then last encounter set for the registration side is we have the Deadly Duo, one of which is going to be Jester. Actually, let's put down both of them just to have them in context, because this is the Deadly Duo. So you have Jack-O-Lantern and Jester. So Jester is a 1 scheme, 2 attack, 3 hit point minion with the Thunderbolts trait. And when revealed, discard the top 3 cards of your deck. Take 1 indirect damage for each different card type discarded this way. Cool. Jack-O-Lantern is a 2 scheme, 1 attack, so a mirror. 3 hit points. Thunderbolts trait. When revealed, discard the top 3 cards of your deck. Place 1 threat on the main scheme for each different card type discarded this way. Okay, so I like these as a mirrored pair. I think that I like the fact that they are tied together, because I would have tied them together. I don't have a lot of knowledge of Jack-O-Lantern and Jester outside of actually, I think probably just the Civil War event itself. I remember the 2 of them being there. I think this is McNiven art. Obviously, this is art that was made for the game specifically. But yeah, it's a mirrored pair. Cool. I like the fact that we're working on a theme of different card types, kind of harkening back to Strife a little bit. Mad Jack's Platform. So it is a attachment that gives +1 scheme, +1 attack. It is tech traded, attached to a minion of the enemy's team's choice. So you're just going to Grim Rule this in cooperative mode. Otherwise, this card gains Surge. Attached minion gets +4 hit points and gains Stalwart. Boost, attach this card to a minion engaged with you. Yeah, this is rough, I think. +4 hit points and Stalwart could very well take an in-control situation and just make it more difficult. I think giving the boost to... Yeah, I think overall just the boost to scheming and attacking makes this a need to defeat... this turns into something that needs to be handled. And yeah, I think it lives up to that status. This is a card that I don't want on a minion for too long, but also makes minions into something really interesting, and that's cool. And then we've got Jester's Yo-Yo, of course. So it is a treachery. When revealed, discard the highest cost card you control. Otherwise, this card gains surge. Okay, well, in a different world, this would not have gained surge, and they thought of that. And a boost of discard and upgrade you control. Weird theming, just a yo-yo that I guess destroys your stuff. But either way, I think this is cool. I like the fact that we live in a world where Jester's Yo-Yo is a thing that is, part of our game, and that's pretty cool. And then the last thing would be the side scheme, Deadly Duo. It is a side scheme, same thing as always. Hinder 1, 3 a threat. All right, but basically we're not going to be able to thwart the main scheme while this is in play, and we come to expect that. And then when defeated, each player discards the top 8 cards of their deck. So yeah, this is just going to be a encounter set that's going to be just there to chop away at your deck. Not the most threatening thing, although it could very well get you an extra encounter set, but that could get you an extra encounter card pretty quick. So either way, yeah, I think just the theming's cool here. It's messing with your stuff. It's got an attachment that is worthy of getting rid of ASAP, and a treachery that, like I said, has theming that I would have never imagined that we would get to in this game, and that's what makes Marvel Champions amazing. We can move on to the Resistance side. All right, so right off the bat, we have the Young Avengers. And we will talk about, first off, we'll talk about Patriot. He is a minion with 2 scheme, 2 attack, 4 hit points, has the Young Avenger trait. I appreciate that they gave the Young Avenger trait, but that they did not make that part of Hulkling, to just allow the game to have a little bit more of a level playing field. You don't have to specialize to Young Avengers, but here I'm willing to take it. So he has toughness. When revealed, give the enemy leader a tough status card. All right, yeah, that makes sense. I believe he has... Does he have the bulletproof skin? I know he has a version of the Super Soldier serum. But either way, yeah, toughness and give a tough status to essentially the villain. I haven't really thought about a thematic encounter set for, I guess in this case it'd be Captain America or Vision or who's the other one? Spider-Woman. I haven't really thought about what that would look like, but I think just the idea of having the Young Avengers just around, or things like it, as just mind-controlled heroes that you can fight against in a thematic encounter deck will be interesting. But yeah, this is, I don't want to say it's brutal, but it's definitely going to be a speed bump. Then we've got Hawkeye. She is a minion with 2 scheme, 2 attack, 3 hit points, Young Avenger traded. Her attacks gain piercing and ranged. And when revealed, discard and upgrade you control. Woof. Okay, wow. Yeah, I'm okay with minions having piercing and ranged, because they're temporary, they're not something you have to deal with every turn, they don't completely invalidate your strategy, but they can definitely stand in the way and go, hey, here's the trump card to exactly what you're doing. You're trying to turtle up, I'm just going to get you with piercing, your tough status is going to go away, and range, so retaliate's not even going to work. I like this. On a minion, I think this is definitely an interesting thing to do. Then we've got Stature. We're just hitting all of the high points here. So we've got Stature, a 1 scheme, 2 attack, 5 hit point minion with Giant trait and Young Avenger. She has Guard, and when revealed, discard a support you control. Okay, so we're hitting the upgrades, we're hitting the supports. I like it. Yeah, I would say just kind of as a, not necessarily a mirrored pair to Hawkeye, but just thematically, there's a part of me that would like her to have 1 more attack. I think if you're Giant, you should be allowed to have 3 attack. But that's not the most critical thing. In terms of balancing, I think this is fine. And Guard. Guard is important. Yeah, I think if she had 3 hit points, or 3 attack and Guard. Not that those 2 things are tied together, but that might be a little much. Then we have Teenage Superheroes, a treachery with when revealed, which was Teenagers with Attitude. I know that's the wrong property. When revealed, resolve the when revealed ability on each minion in play. If no when reveal abilities were resolved this way, this card gains surge. Oh, well, I know we have some more Young Avengers coming. I bet they're going to have one revealed. I'm not even thinking about the fact that we have the other resistance minions, I think, also have one reveal ability. So this is just a variant of a card we probably saw in the like secret Avengers and stuff. Thematically, I like that. I like the idea that you could basically build an encounter deck around minions with one revealed, and then just have treacheries like this that just double up on those. That's cool. I like that as a thematic tie together. And then we have the side scheme, Young Avengers, a side scheme with Hinder 1, as always, 3, so it comes in with a minimum of 4. The first minion revealed each round gains Surge. And yeah, so this is the same as, no, that would have been the Homeland Security side scheme. So this is just like a mirrored pair to that. You know what? Even as I'm thinking about this, especially what I just said about teenage superheroes, I like the fact that this is giving us better options. I didn't have a huge problem with the stuff in Civil War, but I think just being able to have a little bit more, diversity of what you're doing is going to be like a really strong thing for the competitive mode. Because I think that if you are really metagaming it, I think you're going to hit the optimal choices. And so I think that just having more and more like options like this and working on theme, I think is gonna really bring that version alive. And yeah, I like this. Then we have the Scarlet Twins, Wiccan and Speed. Yeah, okay, so they're mirrored pairs as far as I can see. Oh, okay, I just saw something. Okay, so Wiccan, 2 scheme, 1 attack, 3 hit points, Young Avenger traded, Insight 1. All right. Let's do this. When revealed, you are confused. Otherwise, place 2 threat on the main scheme. And then we have Speed, who is 1 scheme, 2 attack, 3 hit points, Young Avenger with Quick Strike, which makes sense. When revealed, you are stunned. Oh, also considering the fact that the teenage superheroes, these have 1 revealed. So yeah, so you are stunned. Otherwise, deal 2 damage to your identity. Ooh. These 2, I'm not going to say are dirty because they're not like that bad, but these feel like they're not playing fair. Oh my gosh. But I like it. I like that they're mirrored pairs of each other. They are related. You can see how they kind of go together. Yeah, I like these. Got Super Speed, a treachery with when revealed, discard 1 random card from your hand, take indirect damage equal to its cost. Oh boy, I could see someone like Iceman could take a lot of damage from this. Boost ability, discard 1 card from your hand. All right, it's simple. I think the game needs room for simple cards. This definitely can do a variant of things, but I think in terms of what it's doing, it's easy to understand. Discard a card at random, take damage equal to its indirect damage equal to its cost. Yeah, I like sweet and simple. And the Wiccan card, we got spell casting, obligation. Ooh, okay, obligation. Force interrupt. When you play a card, cancel its effects and discard it. Then discard this card. I like that. That's that's interesting design space for obligations. This isn't necessarily something you need to. I mean, you do need to do something, but it's not an obligation in the same way that we've known it. I'm not saying that like hero obligations should be like this, but if they wanted to put more obligations into the game that did kind of one-time effects like this that you can just kind of avoid, or you're obligated to address it eventually, I would not be opposed to that. This is an interesting card, and I like it. And then last card is, again, Hinder 1, 3, so a minimum of 4. Superpowered Siblings. When defeated, the player who defeated this scheme discards 1 card from their hand and has the Amplify icon. So I like the minions the most from this. This is not a side scheme that excites me too much. I haven't done competitive mode enough to like really have strong opinions. I don't know that this isn't going to be the card that's selling me on putting it into the encounter deck. It's going to be the minions, but interesting, and yeah, it's there. Moving on, we have the Moon Knight encounter, the Moon Knight encounter set. So we've got Moon Knight. He has 2 scheme, 2 attack, 5 hit points. He's a defender and elite traded minion. Has retaliate 2 and toughness. Wow, they are just going all out here. This is, we've seen this before, and I remember seeing it, but they're going all out here. When revealed, resolve the when revealed ability of the topmost treachery in the discard pile. Oh, wow. I mean, I guess you could whiff, and you could have a treachery that's, well, what treachery does not have a when reveal ability? Never mind. I like that as like a dynamic effect. This could do very little, or it could be something it could be something that superpowered teenagers. It's just gonna do all the. Oh wow. Okay. So wait. Hold on a second here. So let's just say hypothetically, the treachery on top is superpowered teenagers. How does that work? So okay, in the hypothetical situation where this comes out and this is the topmost treachery, this resolve the when reveal ability of each minion in play. So I hope this isn't an infinite loop. I think it's a really corner case situation, but this reads like it's an infinite loop, and I don't know what you do about that. I'm going to throw that over to the comments. Somebody who's going to know the rules enough that they're going to comment on this, and it's going to be clear. This reads like you need to do something, and I don't know what it is. Moon Knight is a hero that a lot of people like, and for good reason, and this is a cool card. Oh, got 2 copies of the Crescent Dart. Oops. Crescent Dart. So it is an attachment. It gives +2 attack. Attached to Moon Knight, otherwise attached to the enemy leader. Force to interrupt when attached character attacks. This attack gains piercing and ranged. Again, I like giving that to a minion. Discard this card after that attack. Okay, so if this lands on the villain, it's brutal, but it's not going to stick around. I think plain fair, piercing and ranged on a minion is fair because it's going to be temporary. On the villain, that would be pretty unrelenting. But yeah, I think in terms of just throwing it on to Moon Knight or the villain or the enemy leader, I think this all plays fair. I think this is really cool. +2 attack, piercing and ranged that's a pretty loaded attack, but I like it. And it gives you a chance to respond to it. It's not like just a sudden the villain attacks you with +2 attack. Fist of Khonshu, a treachery with when revealed, exhaust your identity and deal 2 damage to it. Boost ability, exhaust your identity. Short, simple, I like it. It is a little brutal, but I like it as just a thing that's happening. And then last thing is the side scheme with Khonshu's avatar. 3, hinder 1, gives you an additional encounter card, and when defeated of discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until a treachery is discarded this way, resolve that card's when revealed ability. Oh man, okay, so you're pushing your way through the encounter deck and you're gonna get a treachery. Moon Knight does not play fair. I'm okay with that because I want there to be brutal encounter sets, but man, Moon Knight in any encounter deck is gonna be it's gonna be interesting. And then the last encounter set we'll be talking about today is Royal Guard, which has some Atlantis stuff. We're going to revisit that. We've got Janus, I don't know. 1 scheme, 3 attack, 3 hit points, Atlantis traded. When revealed, if you have the Hunted trait, this card activates against you. Otherwise, discard the top 2 cards of your deck. Okay. I don't precisely remember how the other Atlantis stuff worked. I do feel like it did push cards off the top of your deck, but we're also playing with Hunted, which is that. Okay. I see what that means. I see where that is now. Because I think that's separate from the unregistered stuff. But yeah, I like this. We'll have more context for Hunted in just a second. Then we have Amir. 2 scheme, 2 attack, 3 hit points, Atlantis. When revealed, if you have the Hunted trait, this card activates against you. Otherwise, discard the top of your deck. Okay, so I'm on board with that. Same thing. We'll gain some context to what Hunted is in just a second. But yeah, this could very well activate against you. Got the Atlanteans, which, again, I talked about in my recent top 10 list. Treachery, when revealed, discard the top 3 cards of your deck. If you are in alter ego form, place 1 threat on the main scheme for each different card type discarded this way. If you're in hero form, take 1 indirect damage for each different card type discarded this way. So yeah, I liked this card before. I still like it. I think it's an interesting effect, and yeah, check it out. Then we've got Blood Debt, which is the Hunted card of choice. So Blood Debt is an obligation. Ooh, okay, obligation again. I like it. Cool design space. So obligation, you gain the Hunted trait. Alter ego action, discard the top 8 cards of your deck, discard this card, and as an amplify icon. So yeah, I think just in terms of a encounter set by itself, I like the fact that it plays well together. Giving the Hunted traded out is not something that you're probably not going to have for too long, but you might carry it around for a while because you're just not that worried. But you're gonna want to address this at some point. And I think overall, this feels like, on the surface, it feels like a good balance of everything. Just, can you keep this trait for very long? Do you want to switch down to Alter Ego and lose the top 8 cards of your deck, which is probably going to get you an encounter card relatively soon? 8 cards is essentially 2 cards, 2 turns worth of cards you're going to draw. So this pushes you towards that encounter card super fast. But yeah, I'll be interested to play with this because I think that I will definitely want to do some thematic deck that plays with the Atlanteans, and now we have what I would consider to be a pretty healthy encounter deck worth of encounter sets for them. And then last thing is the Royal Guard, a side scheme, yada yada yada, hinder 1, 3 initially. When defeated, also the you can't mess with the main scheme icon. When defeated, the enemy team searches the encounter deck and discard pile for a copy of Blood Debt and deals it to the player who defeated the scheme as a face-down encounter card. I like that. I like making sure that the Blood Debt is going to be something that's going to be factored in. You should feel the effects of it in an encounter. If the game goes on long enough, you will feel the effects of Blood Debt, whether it be through this or through actually just naturally drawing it. If you do get rid of it, this could bring it back. I think that's a cool, interesting balance. And yeah, overall, just I like how they were able to take 5 card encounter sets and make them into these tight little packages. But yeah, that is everything. I think I side more in this product. I think I'm going to side more with the resistance versus the registration. I think the registration is really interesting. I feel like it is putting in characters that are, especially in this one because they're all Thunderbolts, it doesn't feel like it's that kind of hero versus hero thing as much. It is very much of like, so I think you could do Risky Business. You could do Osborne with a bunch of Thunderbolts. That actually seems like a really interesting thing. Because yeah, the registration side, especially in this product, feels a lot like it's almost like the hood is just giving you more, like actual villains to be dealing with. But still, I think that's interesting. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this? Again, happy release day. And yeah, I will probably dive into Vision and She-Hulk at some point. It's just not the top of my concern. Maybe I will, now that all the leaders are out, maybe I can do a leaders retrospective. But until next time, thank you so much for your time. Have a great day. And remember, you are doing great. Keep it up.